Alright, y'all. Been a while since I made a video. Fair warning. Still don't have anything to hold my camera, so most of it's going to be me holding it by hand. So bear with me. So what we got is a Crystal Edition Xbox. I believe I got this one out of the UK. It could have came from Canada. Can't really remember. Not important. It was pretty yellowed whenever I got it. It looked like a smoker had it in their house, or maybe it just sat out in the sun for too long. It's really hard telling sometimes. But had it sitting in the bright box for 3 or 4 days, and now it looks pretty good. So, credit goes to Official Gaming Guys. I'll try to put a link somewhere up here for his YouTube. He made a video about how to make a orange Halo clone a couple months back, but has since revised some of his comments, said that he found maybe better ways to do things. So I'm going to try to recreate that using his new guidance, right? So I've already taken this apart, obviously, but these are all of the parts of the Xbox that I'm going to be attempting to dye. So we've got a drive cover, the bezel that goes around the power and eject buttons, the front faceplate, and then obviously the top and the bottom. Couple things you're going to need. Obviously, you're going to need some kind of transparent case. This is an official Crystal Edition that I ordered from the UK. When I first got a hold of it, it was a lot more yellow than this. This has been sitting in the bright box for about 3 days. The rest of the shell looks pretty similar. It's not exactly perfect, but pretty good for being over 20 years old. So they do have other things that you can get if you're lucky enough to find them. Back in the day, XCM made a clear case, and then there is the Ghost cases. Those cases are, if I remember right, just the top and the front panel. I don't recommend using them because I've heard horror stories about them anyways when it comes to their fitment and how well they hold up in shipping. But do you. The next thing that you're going to need, some iDye poly. Now, I guess iDye actually makes multiple things from what I understand. iDye poly being the important one, because if you look down there at the bottom, various plastics and other synthetic materials, and that's what we're going for. I guess this is traditionally used for dyeing fabrics, shirts, things like that, but yeah. I bought 3. I plan on doing this more than once, kind of honing the craft, I guess. I did put up a poll on my Instagram to figure out which one people wanted to see more, although I didn't tell them what it was for at the time. And as of filming this, looks like purple's in the lead by a long shot. So this is probably the color I was going to go with anyways, but I guess a lot of people are thinking the same as me. The next thing that you're going to need, Official Gaming Guys kind of brought this up because taking this thing off can be dangerous. Now, replacements of these are not hard to come by. You can find ones that are on, Etsy, maybe eBay or whatever, for usually somewhere around 10 to 20 bucks, depending on who's making them. The biggest problem that I have with those is if you look at the actual Xbox emblem, it's kind of domed, right? The replacements that you get are flat. They're obviously not the same quality, but for the most part, depending on what you're after, they'll get the job done. For me, I like the original just because I feel like the shape of it kind of goes with the flow of the case itself. So that's what I'm going to stick with. Official Gaming Guys, when he first made his video, he was talking about ways of getting this off easily. The problem is there's not really a great way to do it without either potentially melting something, gouging the outer rim of the emblem itself, making it look like trash, or whatever the case may be. So we're just going to stick with that. When Gaming Guys came back after doing this for a while, he suggested, instead of taking it off, it was some of this. Now, there are different forms of this, but basically this is just a tacky putty / clay that is removable. So what we're going to do later, we're going to take this, we're going to cover this jewel up to where the dye doesn't affect the color of this, hopefully. The next thing you're going to need is one of these bins or something to put the water and the dye in. For me, I just went with this. I believe it was $14 or $15 from Walmart. If you've ever made your own bright box, you're probably used to using these in your projects anyways. Very similar to that one right there. But the reason I went with this longer one, OG Gaming Guys, I think just based off of his video, kind of went with 1/2 this size. I went with a longer one solely because I didn't want to stack parts on top of each other if I didn't have to. So if you look, and then, I don't know, use your imagination. There's a face plate and drive plate over here, you know, and then there's still room for your heating element. And if I needed to, and, you know, excessive heat or anything like that became a problem, I could pick it up, put it over here. If I was doing a controller at the same time, I could put the controller pieces right here and then still stack things there if I needed to. But realistically, just wanted as much room as I could possibly get without going too overboard. So kind of a trial and error thing. We'll see how this works out as far as the size of this by the end, but hopefully it'll work out. These are potentially optional. We'll find out as we go through the process, I guess. But Gaming Guys, whenever he does his, or at least in the video that he showed, he uses one of these. This is a submersible heater. You find them for fish tanks and things like that, right? I actually originally bought these for my bright box. This is a temperature controller, right? And what happens is you plug this into this, and this goes in the wall. And what you're doing is you can say, hey, I want to set it to whatever temperature it is that you're after, and this will shut this down if it needs to in order to maintain that temperature. And it gives you a threshold that you can adjust, and it'll kick this back on whenever it hits whatever your minimum is that you're after. Like I said, these may not be needed. We'll find out. This is definitely something Gaming Guys used. This is something I'm just used to using in my bright box. The way I make sure that this isn't overpowered or melting anything or potentially evaporating whatever I have it sitting in. So we'll find out. So here's the contents of the pack for the iDye poly. You've got these two. You can kind of see the dye kind of leached off right there. But on the inside of the pack, it actually has instructions. Now, a couple things. Reading it right there. No higher than 212 Fahrenheit or 100 Celsius. If I remember correctly, Official Gaming Guys went with, I believe, 85 Celsius. I do not know what that is in Fahrenheit off the top of my head. So we'll kind of figure it out. It also mentions that it is not odorless and you need to do it in a well-ventilated area. So we're going to do this outside. Alright, so we're outside. You can see it, even it's kind of blinking through the camera. I've got my target value set to 85 degrees. This is where it's at currently. Obviously, it's a pretty decent sized body of water, so it's probably going to take a little while to actually get it heat up. So we'll come back in a little bit and check on it. Alright, so while we're waiting on the water to warm up, I went ahead and covered the Joule. So with this pack specifically comes with 5 of these little strips. Now usually these are meant for, I guess, hanging up photos or something without using a tack. That way it doesn't leave holes in your wall. But we used 3-hole strips, and what I did is I rolled them all into a ball and I covered the Joule as much as I could. It's pretty tough. It's not very malleable, I think is the word. It doesn't, like, it's not as soft as Play-Doh. Like, it's a little bit more thick than that. So what I did, it's kind of hard to show on camera, but I went all the way around the Joule, but I made sure, or at least tried my best to make sure that it's not actually coming into contact with the plastic itself. So what I did after I covered all that up, in my iFixit toolkit, I got this little tool, and I actually went around all the creases in here and just tried to make sure to do my best to keep it off of the plastic. What that'll do, it'll actually leave some gaps on the very, very, very small edge of the Joule itself. Like if you were looking at it this way, that edge, some of that's going to be exposed. I think that's just going to be a casualty. I'm not really sure how it's going to turn out, so hope for the best, but I think I got this to where I want to. So now we just got to wait for our water to continue warming up and put in our dye. Alright, so the audio might get messed up here because it's getting kind of loud, but you can see it's kind of steaming, right? So I've had this going for about an hour. Still haven't been able to get it quite up to temp. I'd say it's averaging for that entire hour, somewhere around 58 degrees Celsius. Still trying to creep up to 75. One thing Americans probably don't know, that's hot, right? So you're gonna want some kind of protection. Now, they make chemical gloves that are actually like insulated and everything else, but I don't have that on hand. But what I do have are the gloves that I use for whenever I smoke meat and just a regular nylon. I'm gonna pull a piece out just to see what's up, you know, and see where we're at. So you can kind of see it right there. It does have a purple tint to it already. It's kind of nice. It's very light though, definitely not where we want it to be. So I'm gonna put that back in there and I'm gonna let this keep going. Just a quick note, I have been stirring this. I've been sitting and babysitting this for the past hour. I've been making sure to stir it because the water's not getting quite up to temp the way I want it to, just because it's so big. So if you have to babysit it like that, so be it. All right, so we're sitting about 2 hours in. Temp has been fluctuating somewhere in the low to mid 60s. Still see the steam rolling off of it. Just wanted to pull this out real quick just so I can check on it and see how much deeper this color is getting. I feel like you can see it a little bit more now, but I'm sure it'll show up better on camera later, so we'll see. But in person, definitely getting darker. Hour 3, big problem I'm running into. Cranked it up to where I try to hit 85, but the temperature is actually just going down. I think that's because the ambient temperature from outside, the sun going down, everything else, it's just not going the way I want it to. But let's check it out anyways. It's hard to tell how much of that's getting washed off, but it's starting to get in a like an atomic purple vibe to it. So let's check some of these other parts. There. Let's see the bottom. It's getting there. Looks like it's starting to bond. Definitely a lot lighter than I need it to be though. So this is gonna keep going. I'm probably gonna let it sit for probably about 2 hours this time before I check it again, just because I don't want it to get too monotonous. Might be hard to tell. Hour 4. Got the temp back up a little bit. Oh, all right. That's definitely looking a lot better. Not quite where I want it to be. I think I'm gonna give it 2 more hours at least before I check it again.
Alright, so there we are. Total of 6 hours in. Fair warning. You can tell I've already checked it out.
Sitting at an average about 65 degrees,
Somewhere around there for 6 hours. One thing that I did do in the last little 2 hour bit, I added the color intensifier. Whether or not that helps, I don't know. But looking at this, it's almost where I want it to be. Dare I even say where I want it to be? Hard to tell because it's kind of dark outside right now. But I think I'm gonna give it 1 more hour, and then probably call it a day after that. Alright, so here we are, 7 hours in, haven't looked at it yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these out. I've got this little cooking tray that I use for all my retro writing stuff anyways, so I'm going to pull them out, put them on here. I have a stainless steel kitchen sink, and I'm going to rinse them off with warm water going into cold. Not hot water, but just warm, because I don't want to hit it with cold right after coming out of this bath. So, let's see what's up. That's pretty dope. if that holds the way I think it will, I'm happy with that. But yeah, once I get all this washed off, I'll shoot it in there on the workbench so you guys can see it better. So first look at the faceplate parts. It kind of pops against that blue. It doesn't look... Let me see if I can... So in my mind, when I started this, I kind of wanted something that was like the Cortana controller, the Duke that they remade. That's what I was going for. So we'll see what's up. One thing that I noticed about the faceplate, right? So you can see right there, that looks like a crack. It's actually the inside right there where it's like molded together, but dyeing it definitely highlighted that, and it drives me insane because this one's not like perfect, and it definitely looks like more of a scratch on this side, but it's not. And it's a shame. It's kind of annoying. All right, bottom of the shell. You can see right there, looks like some settling issues maybe. Obviously that's not coming off anytime soon. So other than that, that part looks good. One thing that I noticed though, and this could be because of a couple things. This could be because of settling. This could be just a little bit just old age from where it shifted around a lot, and it's highlighting the scratches that were already there. You just couldn't see because they were clear. I don't know, but oh, and I left a sticker on right there. Come on, yep, right there. That part's still clear. So, whoops. Yeah, that's the bottom. Kind of similar to the bottom. Same thing happened up here. People back in the day, they used to stack things on top of their Xboxes, and pretty sure that's what this is, because when you flip it upside down, you definitely don't see it in there. That's still smooth, looks untouched from where it probably is until I pulled it off. So that kind of sucks. I'll pull this off here in a minute just to see how we did with the jewel and as far as protecting that, but otherwise, pretty good. I think it came out clean. Other than those scratches right there, don't see anything that bothered me like it does on the faceplate. So, all right, so good and bad, right? Pulled the cap off, and for the most part it did its job. There was some residue under there, so fixed all that. But when you get in close from years of old age, maybe even sitting in, you know, all that heat for so long, might have caused some separation a little bit, so all of the little cracks are showing because of the dye. So there's that. Gave that a little hand polish, but also went around the outside, which I don't know if you can tell, actually looking a lot better. Just a microfiber, right, and this Chemical Guys VSS. I think I got it in a bundle from a while back. But other than that, I don't really see a whole lot wrong with it. Pretty happy. Not bad for the first shot. Alright, wanted to do a quick recap of everything that I did, right? So, Crystal Edition Xbox, sourced from the UK or Canada, who knows. Brightened it for a couple of days in peroxide to make it look crisp, a little bit more new. Wanted to do that to make sure that it was like thoroughly clean before I actually went through the dyeing process. Used a pack of iDye Poly Purple in a heated bath, sat it in there for about 7 hours. I'd say the average temperature was somewhere around 63 degrees Celsius.
Obviously, the longer you let it sit in there, the darker it's going to be. Did end up having some imperfections, like we've already talked about the jewel right here. That's going to be something that needs work. Not a huge fan of that, but luckily it's not super noticeable. It's just one of those things that you kind of get in there and you're like, ugh. But overall, pretty happy. The color came out pretty close to what I was wanting. Like I said earlier in the video, I wanted something along the lines of the Cortana controller that they made for the Duke remakes. But overall, pretty happy with the process. I've definitely done harder things, so I think I'm going to keep this going, try different colors, and maybe tweak a couple things just to make sure that I have a better end result. So if I end up coming up with anything else or figure out a way to do it better, then I'll probably make another video in the future. But for now, pretty cool. I like it. Thanks for watching.